Welcome, welcome, welcome to this edition of Sagionic 1027. X amount of years ago, I met our guest and I'm about to introduce to you. And when I met him, I didn't understand the significance behind meeting him. And after going through his bio, I'm like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe this. I am like freaking out with excitement that I get to firsthand, get to find out all this information, but also share it with all of you. So real quick, like the word Sagionic means movement by movement in time. Anytime throughout history, a person rose up in a movement, and through their movement created movement. And that's how things get started. And the word Sagion all by itself means carriers of wisdom. So today, what we're going to learn from Duane Zingale, people are going to be like, I don't know, this is a funny visual, but oh my gosh, I'm drooling because I'm so excited, right? They're going to be so excited by what they're going to learn today. So I'm just going to read his bio because there's so many good nuggets in it for our viewers today. When Duane Zingale is not lost in Lego Fairytale land with his two amazing daughters, he is likely to be found geeking out on crafting relationship-based marketing ecosystems with his Listen framework. And it's not just about building a funnel for the sake of it. Duane is emphatic about creating a connection through digital empathy. He is a marketing connection consultant and founder of the digital marketing group Legacy Catalyst. This guy loves tech so that you and I don't have to. His mission with Legacy Catalyst is to get behind more than just a business, but to champion movements that will change the world one life at a time, leaving a lasting legacy. He is likely to say, when you leave your digital footprint today, you start leaving your legacy for tomorrow. And that's why he believes starting a movement is the most powerful way to market and monetize your personal brand. That's why he launched the Marketing Your Movement show to help personal brands such as coaches and consultants lead a transformational community and earn a return of their influence. Duane helps his clients leverage automated marketing systems to create conversations in context using his Listen framework to build a relationship with potential clients through their customer journey. So Duane Zingale, we are so honored to have you here today. And today's program is about you and what you would like to, I see you throwing out a red carpet. That's what I see you throwing out. Throw out a red carpet before our viewers today.
Yeah, absolutely. So just kind of going in, obviously that's a mouthful, and it comes from a place, right? Throw the Wayback Machine. I actually had my father go away to prison when I was just 5 years old. Crazy life-changing moment at a young age, and that left this gaping hole. I was spent the next 20, 30 years constantly seeking for mentorship. Who was going to be the one to show me the ropes? And in that gap, I became quite the tinkerer, right? Always just problem solving. I had a Tandy computer in 1990, learned MS-DOS, and it was just always figuring things out. It was just absolutely one of my most favorite things to do was just problem solve for the sake of problem solving. And as time went on in that journey of seeking a mentor through Christian missions, through leaving Christianity, I did come across a mentor in the business world and entrepreneurship through a mastermind. It's been an incredible 5 years, and this is where the lights finally came on for me. It's like, okay, you're living in a fog for 30 years. And of course, right, we all get to do this journey, but coming from that place to a mentorship role was incredible. And so that really denotes the entire reason for what I do, right? I lived this period of time without my father, seeking essentially a fatherly role in my life. You know, how do you change the oil? How do you change a light bulb? Oversimplifying that, but right. Every boy wants to know how to do all these things, and just by the nature of life, we end up figuring it out one way or another. But having that person in your life just goes to show, right? You can't grow a business as a lone wolf. Like the lone wolves always get burned. They always find someone, even when it looks like they're on their own. Right? No one is out there truly doing it alone. They have support somewhere, whether it be a coach, a spouse, a team member. They're finding some semblance of support from someone.
That's right. That's right. And this is incredible because, two parts. I actually interviewed somebody yesterday, a gentleman yesterday who spoke of like pertaining to mankind, and how mankind was created to be these, you know, and women don't take this out of context, but these domineering, strong forces to be leaders in the land, to divide and conquer, right? And without that being present, then it causes a man to be this pamsy, mamsy, caved in, unmasculine, single man, right? And but that is not, but women are not created to be attracted to the mamsy pamsy, can't carry his own mind kind of a guy. So what you touched on actually pertains to that. You couldn't be in an environment where it was stand up, sit down, be a part of this program, this program, this program, this program, because you were suffocating the brain in which you were given for technology and entrepreneurship. So, can you explain to viewers that breakaway process of, I can't do this no more?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the breakaway, of course, is we wish it would be overnight. It takes a long time of journeying. For me, the breakaway, it came in multiple times, but the main breakaway became when I decided to leave the full time Christian mission field. And I was in this place, second daughter. She has the same birth syndrome I did. Or you probably heard, I know you interviewed my wife, so you got to hear a little bit about that. But that leaves an oh crap kind of moment, right? And I can be even more crass if desire, but it leaves right. Okay, I get it. I know how much my parents had to put into getting me the resources I need for a hearing aid, to have surgeries, to get my prosthetic ears. I'm no cheap cookie. Um, and there were many things where SHTF had happened in that moment. It was like, okay, time to pivot. But in that pivot, I was, you lost. It's like, what do I do? Where do I go? Thankfully, the mentor I had mentioned had a podcast, and this is how I got to know my mentor.
Okay.
Right? If you're out there entrepreneuring as a personal brand, podcasts, YouTube channels are incredible because this is how people get to build relationship with you. And by listening to that podcast, I grew more and more in love with this world of personal branding, showing up as you, bringing you in the value that you bring and getting in a financial exchange. What a novel idea. Well, that was novel for me as a Christian missionary because I was really prideful and proud of how poor I could live. I could stretch $1 all the way from here in California to Thailand and back. I could make $1 go a long ways. But that's not always the best way to make an impact. It was a great way to have an adventure. But in that change, I had no idea what my gift was to the world. I just knew how to show up and relate to people. And I decided to meet with as many entrepreneurs, business leaders, business managers, anybody in a decision making capacity who could hand me a check. And I didn't know if that was I didn't even know about the gig economy, but I ended up
Okay.
stumbling into the gig economy. And an e-commerce fella had a Shopify store up, and I was just telling him, oh, I can do this and this and this. But I had two key questions: what are your biggest challenges in your business right now?
Okay.
And how could someone help you with that? Just hearing the needs of entrepreneurs and all these folks really kind of gave me a peer into, oh, I know how to problem solve. Right? It was, oh, this is for me. And in this instance, it was just, match made in heaven. Him and I just paired up right away. He brought me in on his business part time, and we took a lot of his content and started systematizing, automating his e-commerce store, and then added an entire membership site. Right, membership sites, subscriptions are all the rage, and it truly was a gifted moment. I took a book around marketing and said, all right, we're going to implement this, and did a full 360 degree review. And I 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 did a full 360 degree revie launch of a membership site saw 300 members over 1 month join, and over 2 years we grew that to 1,200 members, $12,000 a month in reoccurring revenue. What a beautiful thing, right? That's a stable second business on top of his $1 million e-commerce business. We were jumping and jiving, but also looking to grow. But an odd thing happened, in all my relationship background, because I got into tinkering and loving automation. When we plateaued at 1,200 members, we had to stop and go, why? Where's the growth? What happened? Why are people leaving? Right? You end up in this growth moment that happens at stages of business. You have to start talking to your customers like, hey, how's it going? So, any reason why you think this might be happening? And we got the most, for me, painful uh, return on that question. Your guys' marketing is like talking to a sleazy used car salesman. It was a come to Jesus moment where I went, oh, frick. This is not good. I've gotten captivated and lost, and I became the automated asshole. Right? I built funnels into funnels into funnels because automating was fun, but I automated away the relationship. And I
Huh.
didn't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater, but I went and did a deep introspective, like, okay, my background, 10 years leadership development, it's entirely relational, figuring out how to make relationships work from a leadership perspective. And when we show up online, one thing I saw as a commonality was the winners showed up as leaders, not marketers, not business people, mm, people with courses that really had genuine impact, not just making a shit ton of money, but
Uh-huh.
genuine impact. Were leaders, right? And I always went back to John Maxwell, who said, okay, what is leadership? Leadership is influence. Well, what are we using influence for? Well, we're using influence to market, to cause a change in someone's life, right?
That's
So
right.
great
That's
marketing
right.
is leadership through influence, right? That's why we have the expression be the market leader. We often take that connotation and run, oh, being the market leader means I'm out on top, pound my chest, I'm so great. But what is a leader? Somebody's leaders providing change. And one of the best gifts a leader can have is empathy. And how do we empathize? We listen, right? We connect, we understand, we allow people to feel seen, heard, and understood. And there's nothing more powerful in a marketing message than when my mentor showed up on a podcast and I went, oh, I feel seen and heard. And he doesn't even know me yet.
Huh.
But somehow I feel like I know him. And
That's
he was
right.
building a relationship by listening, right? And in this instance, right, the listening was me listening to him at this point. But eventually we had a conversation where he heard me. And if you know the Enneagram, he's an 8 on the Enneagram, challenger, right? He's a no BS kind of guy. And this is exactly what I needed. He goes, Dwayne, the problem you have is you're creating nothing. You need to get out there and start creating. You've got this great idea. And I hadn't created the listen framework at this point, but I was on that journey, and
Yeah.
he was with me through that automated asshole journey, telling that story, and it really gave me a space to, of course, open up and create that and go, well, here's what I'm going through, and really capturing the moments and capturing these stories by taking time with a coach and a
Yeah.
mentor to pull in the stories. And in this instance, your story, because I'm an entrepreneur for personal brands, your personal story is the most important marketing influential tool that you have. If you can't tell your stories, you can't connect. If people want to connect to you as a story and will hire you for your service, your membership site, your course, whatever it may be, because of your story, right? They're bonding themselves to you. And there's this weird thing that happens on the internet, um, where people, I forget what the psychological term is, but right, they feel like they're more connected to you than they actually are, right? And they show up and, oh, hey, right, and they respond to you if they see you in person, like they've been in relationship with you for years, and you're, who the heck are you? So it's a strange effect, but it's important for. I mean, we need leaders like this. This is how we're showing up, creating culture. It's how legacy media is being replaced. It's how everything that we know is being upheavaled and thrown on its head because new technology is making it so little guys like my mentor, who's just in a chief suite position, can decide to pivot, go out on his own, and flip $1 million, what he calls 7 figures small. And I love that, right? Idea, small team, seven figures. It's not about the money. It's about how do you want to feel, right? Well,
That's
I want to
right.
feel connected. I want to feel in
Yeah.
relationship. I want to feel like I have plenty of time to play with my Lego toys behind me because my girls, right? We want to live in a Legoland fairy tale. I have a whole room dedicated so we can live that fairy tale. But when
So
we
so
listen to people,
so let
yeah,
me interject something. So, oh gosh, please, where did it go? Where's my book at? I moved it. Where is my book at? I moved him. Well, somewhere, I moved him. I must have took him away for some reason. Um, but you'll like this. I just interviewed Howard Partridge. And Howard Partridge, he was part of the original board members for John Maxwell. And he said, what did he do? He showed up. He showed
mhm,
up. He got invited to this meeting and he showed up, right? And now Howard Partridge, his business is the soul coaching for the Zig Ziglar Foundation by just showing up, the relationship. So share with us. Okay, so this dialogue took place, right? And this is before you even had, where's my other piece of paper, before you even had the listen framework. So share with us. Sorry guys, we're going to have Duane back on. He just jumped in today because I wanted him to be close by his bride. So where do you want to go? We literally have 14 more minutes before I click us off.
sure. I mean, kind of putting some practicality to it. So it's like, oh,
Okay.
great, I show up and write. Oh, I'm supposed to influence and listen and build relationship and show up in a personal brand. But let's break down the listen framework is an acronym, right? It's how we're supposed to show up and build relationship through the internet, right? And so you've often heard the customer journey, heard have a funnel, your sales pipeline. There's a lot of expressions. I've just captured it in these six sequential relationship building steps because, well, I wanted to stop objectifying people. And so you use the word listen and they go, well, I guess I'm listening and building relationship. Therefore, I can't just turn people into buyers because I want to sell them something. Right. And so the words we use can make us act in a specific way. Right. And so I absolutely love some teachings out there, but they end up causing people who are money hungry to objectify their market. And if you got a little trinket, I don't care. Objectify me away. I'm going to buy as much Lego as you're willing to send me. But if you're showing up as a personal brand, service based business, author, speaker, consultant, coach, psychologist, right? There's a level of connection that is required. And if I don't trust you, right, I'm not working with you. Right. So the
Ah.
relationship and building trust, and how do you build that trust? You listen. So that looks just a quick breakdown, right? You want to locate your audience where they're already at play. What do we go onto the internet to do? We're out there to play, right? We want to be inspired, entertained, and educated. And we're out there and we're receiving those things. And you want to be chosen as one of those, right, vessels. Now, this locating from a tactical relationship standpoint just means showing up on the internet. This is why you see ourselves here now, right? Meta narrative. We're on a YouTube podcast, showing up, and somebody will decide that they like me, and I'll now have a relationship, and we'll continue that relationship because I'm going to invite you to learn more about the Listen framework and build a connection with me. And that invitation, right, is taking the stage of taking the relationship off of social media, off of YouTube, off of a podcast, off of a stage, and inviting you into the community that I, as a leader, am building. I.e., I'm going to get your email address, right? From an
Okay.
entrepreneurial tactical standpoint, the money is in the list, right? That's the age old expression. The relationship is in me getting your contact information so we can stay in touch, right? I used to be a kid, roam around the mall. What did I do at the mall? Well, I would go around and meet some girls and ask for their phone number so I could ask them out on a date. Right? So you got to get their contact information to get that initial date. And marketers love to use the dating analogies. So it's what we do. We're just dating a lot of people because we want to connect with people, right? And it's from that invitation you're putting out there one great way that we've all done is say, hey, get my PDF guide on the 10 ways to take a great trip to Israel, right? The 10 sites you need to see.
Okay.
One I'm building for a client right now. Well, what do we all want to know if we're going to take a trip to Israel, right? It's context. Well, I want to go to Israel. I want to know I got to know the 10 places. I'm going to make sure I've got this in my bucket list. I'm going to give my email and say, all right, I'm going to look at this. But one thing that most marketers I see miss out on opportunities to take the next step of relationship building. The S stands for survey. What are you doing in this point of surveying? You're asking a question that somebody responds to. Right? We're not giving a chance. Often it's like, okay, you giving me an email. Now I'm going to use this opportunity to just talk and 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 talk. There's this funny ability to talk back on the internet now. I don't know if somebody invented a reply button on email, but right. So you can ask a question, and it needs to be simple. It can be multiple things. This is not a 20-minute trapped in the mall survey. This is
Okay.
a 1 minute. Hey, what's your biggest challenge around planning for a trip? What's your biggest challenge? Another client of mine preparing for your finances to send your kids to college, right?
Okay.
Working this out like, hey, and they has a college money report right now. It's going to be okay. Now we know the biggest challenge. What is one question I can answer about this? So we're going to use this question to get them to talk to us and start a conversation in context, right? So that bio, I'd say, let's use automations to create conversations in context. We've laid the context with locating and inviting somebody. Now we can, right, build more context around that. So now we can have a conversation. And in the tools I use, those questions go direct to me, right? It's like a DM.
Yeah.
And suddenly we're going to be in a Facebook conversation or something. And we start building a real one-to-one relationship. And then post survey, right? We're going to teach. Nobody wants to buy your $10,000 coaching program until you've proven your expertise. So take a moment to teach. We've all experienced the webinar, we've experienced the product launch. There's a lot of tactics to use in relationship building, right? You started that conversation. Show up and teach them something that they can implement and experience success before they hand you anything other than that email address. Right? You're building relationship. This can be on a one-on-one call, right? This can be a great place to use the sales pipeline to move from a conversation to let's talk on the phone, especially if you're selling services. And then from there, from teaching, you want to empower people with the opportunity to purchase. Okay, let's flip the script on sales. You're not selling, you're fulfilling an obligation to
That's
provide
right.
your best gifts of service to other people. And to lay this up, biggest framework shift I experienced. I was out in Nepal doing leadership development training. We do this week-long program. Hey, show up. We're going to go through this John Maxwell leadership development material. And we get these amazing group of people on day one. And then we'd start day two, and we're so excited to start the material from day two. But what do we have? A whole new group of people and hardly anybody from yesterday. So we have to start at day one again.
Ah.
Then we decided, hey, why don't we charge $10? That's no small amount in Nepal. We're sitting here, we're like, in America, $10. That's it. I could buy a couple lattes with $10. Well, in Nepal, that can be a few days of labor. It could be a whole month of labor. It really depends on where you are. So it was significant. Well, what change did we see? Well, we saw people show up day one, day two, day three, day four, day five, and they got the whole leadership development training. And so the commitment was extremely increased when we made somebody purchase. So that purchase point, we're giving someone the opportunity to be empowered to commit to the steps that they're saying in that conversation, right? You're building up to this that they want to accomplish. Where there's that alignment of, hey, you have this problem, this struggle, this need, you want to do this in your life, you want to experience going from struggling as an entrepreneur to ramping up marketing. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to empower you to build a marketing and sales system that works repeatedly, right? So, right, that's something we all would love to empower with. And if that's not what you're looking for and you say, no, I've heard I need to do SEO, I'm not going to work with you, right? It's easy. I'm not out to take your money. I'm out to make sure you get what you need. And any good leader should be out there. And of course, after we empower somebody, this strange thing happens. So many marketers are so good at, okay, you bought it, bye. Bye bye. There's this interesting concept called lifetime value. The money that you're going to make in the long term is from the customers you already have. Those who you're going to have the deepest relationship and come closest to in your heart are those who've worked with you already. Nurture those people to become champions and carriers of your message, right? Give them a great onboarding experience. Give them a great purchase experience. Make sure they have the success you promised. Don't be another automated a-hole selling and leaving. When you nurture your community, right? Build a community that all comes together and wants to achieve the same success together. You end up building a community that leaves a legacy that lasts. Just Jesus, right? One way to think of it is right. He influenced the one, right? We can
That's
think of
right.
John the Baptist. He influenced the three, right? And then the 12, and then the 72, and then the 500, then the thousands. Think about that, right? He was building relationship with his sphere of influence. But those 12, and even the 72, but more so the 12 and even the three, right? What are the books of the Bible? Well, they're primarily by one random guy who came later and the other three, right, who wrote a whole bunch of books and carried that legacy, and that just continued and continued and continued. Now, I doubt any of us are going to show up and leave something like Jesus or Buddha, right? Those are unique circumstances, but we can leave a legacy that lasts, like John Maxwell. We're going to be hearing about John Maxwell training and John Maxwell certified coaches long past the days of John Maxwell.
That's
Paul
right.
Martinelli did an incredible job. My mentor did an incredible job building this program to build a legacy for John Maxwell that goes past John Maxwell, right? Certification programs, right? Now, what is everybody doing who's a certified John Maxwell coach? They're preaching John Maxwell's leadership training, right? He's multiplied his message through a community of movement makers.
That's right.
So your buyers are your champions, and you should be championing them. That's why I always say, let's stop and nurture, right? And so that's what the listen funnel framework looks like. I know that's an extremely fast overview of relationship building for marketing and sales. And then we can take that and apply the appropriate tactics for your gifts and how you need to show up to the world. Because so often I see people want to bite into a tactic. Oh, this is the new Facebook advertising way. And then, crap hits the fan. You wasted thousands of dollars, and you're like, why didn't it work? You can never apply tactics before strategy. You can never apply strategy before values and belief. You need to know where you're coming up from in the roots of your values, right? And listening, right, evokes a strong sense of value. It's not just a strategy. It's something built on philosophy and life experience, and then I can portray. And of course, I showed you, right? You're
Yeah.
here, you've got dismal marketing. You're like, I don't know what's going on. I sell randomly, but this guy's talking about getting it predictably and building relationship and having a high ticket cash flow system, right? You use all these words that go, oh, from I'm struggling here to I know I want to be here. What do you want to achieve in 2023? Oh, we say all these things, and people are just want to be have that pain to pleasure relationship related to them. And once they believe you can get them there, right, you show them, well, this is the path I would give you. That's what you teach. So,
That's right. That's very good. You know, Duane, I can't thank you enough for giving us this slice of your time today. And I value it so much. I value that you were able to just pop on just like that. And I'm looking forward to having more time with you in the future. And after I'm done with my next interview, I will be sending you an email about when can we get you on for a further period of time so that more people can learn what it is that you purposefully learned, not for the self of me, myself, and I, but how can I genuinely take my brain. I followed you 1,000,000% because my sister Sean over here, her brain thinks like real fast. So I followed everything. Okay. But the genuine concern is I know how to make their life easier. That's it, right? And I love what you're saying about, even within the last week, I walked into a room and I'm like, I want to interview that person, that person, that person, but I couldn't approach them, right? Instead, the one person in the room I knew that I was going to interview, I waited till that person came over to me. That person was talking to me. Then all of a sudden, these other ears that I wanted to interview were like, huh, how come you're interviewing him? Right? So I got to walk out of that room with 3 more interviews or four more interviews than intended. But I knew who I wanted to interview before I stepped into the room, but I had to wait. I waited and observing. But bless you, brother. I'm excited to have you on again. And I've got a jet because my next one's coming on in 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
We'll be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. And for all of our viewers out there, until our next Sagionic 1027, may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon thee always. Blessings. Bye.